Hey, this is Larry Janesky from Dr. Energy Saver. Today we're going to be talking about an issue that you don't have to worry about most of the year, but it's a very serious issue and it can cause a lot of damage in your home, and that is ice damming. Let's take a look. Now here's a classic example of ice damming. You can see that there is 8 or 10 inches of ice at the edge of the roof. And what is this from? Well, it's from snow on the roof that's being melted from underneath. You have heat escaping through the ceilings into the attic or through cathedral ceilings, and it's warming the bottom of the roof sheathing. It's warming the roof deck. Now this is heat that you paid for. You bought fuel, your furnace made heat, or your boiler made heat. Heat rose in the house, it escaped out of the house, and you're warming your roof. You're heating your roof, and you don't want to do that. That's a waste of heat. You want to heat your rooms, not your roof. Well, anyway, this snow gets melted from underneath, and the water runs down the roofing underneath the snow, and it gets to the edge of the roof where you can see there's a little overhang on this house, and you have the gutters. The water is no longer under the influence of the heat from escaping out of the house when it gets to the edge, and it refreezes, and you get this big ridge of ice, and that can cause big problems. So what big problems can it cause? Well, if there's a rain, if it warms up and there's a rain, or when it warms up and all this snow melts off the roof, the water will run down and get behind this big ridge of ice. And you have roof shingles, and if you had a flat roof, you wouldn't put individual roof shingles on a flat roof to waterproof the roof, right? So water doesn't go through it. They're individual shingles, and water is just going to go right in between them if you had a flat roof. Roof shingles depend on a slope for the water to drain and run off the roof. Well, when you get that big ridge of ice blocking the flow of water off the roof, it puddles up behind that ridge of ice, and the water goes up underneath the shingles. Essentially, these individual shingles are now in a big puddle of water. Water goes up underneath them, and it floods down into your attic and along your exterior walls, and it can cause massive damage. You can have it raining down through your kitchen cabinets, your drywall's getting all wet, your curtains and drapes and flooring, and it could be a big mess. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's a lot of damage. And insurance companies fear this, and you should too, because it's a huge disruption. Here you can see the ice on the siding that ran down behind the gutter because it can't get off the roof. Certainly it can't run through the gutter, all frozen, but it can't even run over the gutter. So it's running behind the gutter and dripping down the siding and refreezing. And that's going to get worse, and the water can go up underneath the shingles, and then this is what's going to happen inside the house. Let's go inside and see what the problem is that's causing this ice damming. If you have a house that has a finished attic like this one, and you have cathedral ceilings, well, you've got drywall here, but the rafters are only 8 inches or so, and you don't have enough insulation in the rafters to keep the heat from passing through by conduction through the drywall, through the insulation, and warming the underside of the roof. You could also have leaks. So here's a light fixture, and there's air leaking in around here and warming the roof. Skylight is a place where this glass is going to be far colder than this drywall. In other words, heat goes from more to less, and we're melting all the snow. You can see there's a lot of snow on the roof right now, but none on the glass because the heat went right through the glass and melted. And when that water gets to the bottom, it's going to refreeze and be part of the ice damming puzzle. Here we have a cathedral ceiling and a chimney, and I can feel this chimney is actually warm from the boiler down in the basement. But we also have a gap in the drywall around the chimney where air from inside the house can get up into the roof assembly and melt the snow on the roof, all part of the problem. Typical attic, there's 2 ways that heat is escaping from the house into the attic. Now, attics are vented, so they're essentially outside the house or outside the thermal boundary of the house. So we don't want any heat getting into the attic. However, you have plenty of air leaks where air from inside the house rises to the top of the house, the ceilings and the uppermost floor. It can get into the attic through pipe and wire holes, through the top of interior and exterior walls, around the chimney. Can lights are big leakers, and all kinds of framing details and plumbing and duct chases. And you also have ducts in an attic. That is a terrible thing because ducts leak and you're paying to heat the air. You're sending it through the ducts, and a percentage of the air that's in the ducts is leaking out of the little holes and gaps and seams and joints in that duct, and you're heating your attic by accident. And so that warms the roof and causes that snow to melt from underneath, refreeze at the eave, and you've got a big problem. Another issue is not enough insulation. The average house has maybe 5 or 6 inches, 7 inches of insulation, but we know for optimum results, we need loose fill, true soft cellulose insulation that will fill all the little nooks and crannies, unlike fiberglass bats that don't fill all the nooks and crannies. And we need 17 inches of it. We need R60, which is the optimum level for homes recommended by the Department of Energy. Now here's an example where you see the ice damming on the left side over the heated house, but there's the garage. Now the garage is not heated, so that's a great example of how it's heat from underneath that's causing the problem. Unheated buildings won't have much of ice damming. Now here's a homeowner who knows they have ice damming. They have had water damage in the past, and every time they have a lot of snow on the roof, they have to go out there and shovel the bottom of the roof in particular off. And what an inconvenience it is for them. Now they haven't done anything to fix the actual problem. Their house is still inefficient. They're still heating the roof, which they don't have to do, and it's costing them more in the winter in fuel bills. One strategy that some homeowners use is that they know they have ice damming, they know they've had water damage, and they put this heat wire on the roof in a zigzag pattern. Often, sometimes they'll run a heat wire actually in the gutter as well. That's one way to do it, and you can see how it melted the ice at the eave. And then right in the corner there where the wire ends, there's ice damming. But, you know, the problem here is that you're adding energy, right? You're wasting energy from the house, heating the bottom of the roof deck, melting the snow from underneath, and then you're wasting more energy with the heat wires, which consume a significant amount of electricity to try to combat the problem. The real solution is to make the house energy efficient with air sealing and insulation. Here you can see that this attic is obviously vented, as all attics are, and the attic should be cold. Well, why is that snow melting from underneath, causing that huge ice damming there? It's because heat is escaping out of the conditioned space, heat that you paid for, and is lost forever. Now here's an example of what could happen with ice damming. You see this, these icicles are coming out from underneath the corner board. That means that water is getting behind the siding. You can see up there, the gutter's frozen, and water is getting behind the siding. That means water is inside the wall. Now, I've got to make a little disclaimer here. Just because Dr. Energy Saver works on your house, we can't guarantee that you'll never have ice damming again. Ice damming can occur even in an energy-efficient house, and this is how. Number one, when air temperatures are above freezing during the day, melting snow into water, and temperatures drop down below freezing at night. Number two, when radiant heat from the sun penetrates the snow on the roof, heats up the asphalt roof shingles and melts the snow from underneath, and then the sun goes down at night, the water refreezes at the eave. And number three, temperatures are just under freezing, just under, and just a little heat from the house makes the temperatures go just over freezing, melting the snow from underneath, and it refreezes at the eave. Here's the bad news about ice damming. If you have icicles and frozen gutters and big ridges of ice in the winter when it snows on your house, you could have major water damage under the right conditions. Here's the good news about ice damming. If your house has icicles and big ridges of ice in the winter, it means your home is not energy efficient. It means that you are heating the roof, you have more heating bills than you should have, and your house is probably colder and draftier than it should be. And the good news about that is that we can fix this for you. Call Dr. Energy Saver. We can make your house more energy efficient. And the really good news is that ultimately it's free, because the work we do is going to save you on your fuel and electric bills in the summertime, in the air conditioning season. And the money you save will pay for the work that you need over time. Call Dr. Energy Saver. We love to help you.